joining us this evening, folks. Please join me for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll do the roll call from up here.
Thank you.
I'm here, Tom Roach. Ella will not be here. Amanda Durkee.
Here.
John Giuliano.
Here.
Timothy Clark.
Here.
Taylor Boucher will be absent. All right. This evening, first action item will be to add our new member to the board. I need a motion to, for the resolution that the Board of Education hereby appoints Audra All to the vacancy left by the resignation of Christina Durkee. This appointment shall commence immediately upon being sworn in and continue through the next budget vote election, at which time the remainder of such vacancy will be placed on the ballot. New motion. And then John, any discussion? Welcome and thanks for stepping up. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. You may approach. You gotta give me your oath. You have your oath.
You want to do that or you want me to do that?
That's yours.
Follow me.
That's your-
Can I do it from down here or do I gotta come up there?
You gotta come up here, my friend. So all can see.
Don't pun intended.
Thank you.
Alright, so first and foremost, you're going to raise your right hand, repeat after me. Okay, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will fully discharge,
and I will discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the position board member,
the duties of the position of board member,
to which I am now assigned.
to which I am now assigned.
Welcome.
All right, moving right along. So we're gonna go directly to the district safety plan hearing, so, motion to open the district safety plan hearing.
Vote.
Amanda and Tim. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
The hearing is called to order. Any questions on the posting? Did we get any feedback from the public or anything like that regarding?
No.
Any concerns or questions from the board?
No, I ensured just some formatting pieces and those were updated. You took care of that or the company that does it, but thank you for forwarding that.
No problem.
They were fixed and looks good.
I do want to say one thing. We do work with Needham Security, and our point of contact is Malcolm Tripolo, and he will be leaving that company. So we want to thank him for his many years of service to the district and to all of the students in Washington County and the many schools that he serves. So we thank Malcolm, and obviously he's very responsive, and I will personally miss all of the interactions that I had with him, and I wish him well.
That being said, need a motion to close the district safety plan hearing. John?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cool. Next order of business, district code of conduct hearing called to order, so I need a motion to open the district code of conduct. Any discussion? Questions or concerns of the public regarding the code of conduct?
No.
Board?
I just want to thank Aaron and Casey for all their work on that code of conduct. They went through it, and they've done a great job with it, so I just want to thank them.
That That being said, nothing else to add, I need a motion to close this public comment. Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Turn on. Let's do it. We go with adoption. Just like, okay, gotcha. Awesome. All right, I'll turn this over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. So our recognition of success tonight goes to the following Fort Edward graduate, who we'll call up in just a second. First, before we call up our August graduate, I want to thank all of the teachers involved who worked with this student over the summer and throughout his years here at Fort Edward. I want to thank his family that are here tonight. It doesn't happen alone, does not happen in isolation. I'm sure there were many nights and days of poking and prodding to get them to school and to do all of that. And it always takes a full village to help every student in our community. So to the family, to the teachers, to the administration, and to our board for giving our graduate this opportunity to not only graduate with his cohort, but to graduate before the next school year starts, so he can move on and do what he needs to do now in the next chapter of his life. So thank you again to all those people, and without further ado, I would like Mr. Tom Roche, our board president, to provide Mr. Trey Judkins with his diploma. Congratulations. Trey, if you wouldn't mind starting down there and just giving everybody a little handshake. Congratulations, that's a nice job. Tom, Trey, come on over, we're gonna get a picture with you. First, you put your cap on or no? Come on up here, get right up in front. You have to fight the crowd. Is this okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Congratulations, family.
Thank you, thanks, everyone. Again, Board of Education, we thank you for that opportunity. This is the first year that we had credit recovery for our secondary students. And obviously, this worked out very well for one of our students. And I'm gonna go on the record, but can't hold you to it right now because I think the numbers are coming in. But with that graduate, it could push us to 80% for our graduation rate for this year.
That's good, that's good.
So
That's fantastic. All right.
I think the numbers are still coming in from Mr. Russo.
Any community comments?
No.
You sure none of these?
None of these people wanted to talk tonight.
Okay. No presentations. All right, so reports, moving on to reports. Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee met this evening. Really good news, great stuff. Thank you, Chris, thank you, Rich. You guys are doing a fantastic job, everyone's doing a great job. We are looking really good, and that's a good thing to sit here and hear. Yeah, anybody want to expand on that? You good? Athletic Committee met 8-7. There's information in our package regarding that meeting. Thank you for those notes. Capital Project also met 8-8. Want to stand on that a little bit?
I'll let John, if you'd like to.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that meeting?
No, John. Yeah,
Oh, John.
No. Yeah.
We did go over quite a bit that evening. We came up with some more suggestions for some possible deviation from what we originally scoped it out to be. So like one of the original plans was a new boiler we were looking at, or?
Emergency boilers.
Yeah, well, whatever it was, I'm sorry, my mind is not all the way there, but,
That's okay, we've got.
we swallowed up that money, so we thought maybe we could upgrade some other, parts of the facility with that money. Nothing that's immediate, but there are safety concerns. I think those need to be, first and foremost considered, the roof being, probably the major one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, these gentlemen really do a much better job of outlining all of that than I would, but I think that it was a very productive meeting. I think we moved forward on a lot of things, and I think that it makes sense.
I think the notes are fantastic. I'm assuming you're doing these notes. I love how even the things that are done, they're still on the list with the strikeout through them, so that we know that those were discussed, they were part of it.
Yeah, so,
Fantastic.
yeah. And
Thank you.
referring back to what Amanda was saying, the 3H is what I was talking about before. So that was quite a bit of money that we would have spent, that we no longer need to spend. So, we can get some other
Awesome.
I want to thank, Tim and John. One of their biggest charges, I think, in that meeting was making sure that we get community input and that we are really striving to grab input from the staff and even selected students. So one of the results of that, it was trying to get a survey together. But we did have a timeline, and I'm bringing that up now for the community who is listening. We will be going out at some point with a survey, but not just yet. We are working with our BOCES communication services. We are working to have a meeting with that individual and hoping to either bring them on as staff in the next school year, or possibly doing like an a la carte to help us market and what we need to do. But after our committee meeting, we came out, we said we wanted to have a survey, we had a basic timeline, but then after we met as an owners, architect, and construction management team, we decided to pump the brakes a little bit on that until we can get with BOCES. But rest assured, Tim and John, we're definitely going to be getting community input as you wanted to have.
Yeah, I think it's important that we let them take the ball on that.
So that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Any need for any of the other committees to meet anytime soon?
Policy committee, I just had a concern that we had the diversity, equity, inclusion policy we took into this year. I don't know if the policy committee needs to meet to discuss it, but there's actions that the administration should get rolling in order to either incorporate or reject that policy.
So what will happen, I think also, and maybe Casey can follow up with policy services just to check. So the audit will come out, I want to say it was September that came out in the past. And because we didn't do any changes on that diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, it's going to be on that audit list again. Mm-hmm. So when the policy committee is meeting and things, it will be on the forefront with that, as part of that audit. But you're right, it is something that I think also through BOCES and things, it has been topic of discussion at some of the CSO meetings and things like that. So it might be something already that we've been thinking about.
I actually joined that committee, and I've already been to 2 or 3 meetings. The biggest thing, Tim, I think we need to get going as soon as the students get back is getting that DEI committee together and actually formulate that. I think that's going to be, that was a clear thing in the policy that we should have.
That's the intent,
and need one. So I think that'll be the first step we get in once the students come in and staff get back into the swing. We'll have those meetings, and I'll be reporting the minutes, hopefully to the board, by October, at the very least, November.
Okay, great.
Let's find out when we want us to meet too.
If you could just find out maybe from from policy services when that,
Typically, you are correct. I thought it was like the end of August, beginning of September is typically when they do send that policy audit again. I did speak with the Ashley at Policy Services. They are a little bit behind just even on catching up on our last audit. It's typically a 2-month turnaround, but obviously it's been a little bit more than that since we've done that, so they're behind, but I did just speak to her a couple weeks ago on that. One of the other things that our policy committee was going to meet on though is the building use policy that doesn't quite exist anymore. There's not, our policy manual doesn't have anything that points to a building use, but we use a building use form that points to a policy.
There's not a problem.
I promise.
Because we actually, again, Carlos, but we had to meet about price increase at one point, and the percentage of residents using it. Now, maybe we're just modifying the form.
that's what I
we did.
think
We
was
just
happening,
modified
and
it.
I was a community member there.
Gotcha.
There was a
Yes.
lot of discussion about the form and building.
JV boys basketball, we do have one applicant, and I'm going to place that on hold until we get closer to the season. Bocce, I know we were talking about bocce as a sport, but it is a unified sport. It is actually more of a club thing, so we will not need a coach for that. It will be more of an advisor position. So I just wanted to let you know, and as always, we're looking for shot clock and scoreboard operators for the winter basketball season. I'll leave this to Steve, but I want to just congratulate him and his staff for all of the building cleaning and the annex cleaning and everything going on. He will dive into that in his report, but done a great job. I have been in contact with Captain Anthony Leclerc of our Washington County Sheriff's Department. We will not start the school year off with an SBO. There are no applicants at this time or retirees, so he is keeping me posted. I did meet with Dave Cutler from our village board and to discuss the traffic in the front on K Street. They will be removing that double line on K Street. That hopefully will deter people thinking that you can go 2 ways on that, and it's a one-way. They are going to add lane delineators at the start of K Street, which is there are these floppy things that go in the middle of the road, but they delineate the lanes. And I still have to work with Steve. I know we're under a time crunch, I hate to put another thing on your list, but I'm going to. We have to look at enlarging the student dropout zone. So as you know, the bus zone takes up the whole front of almost the high school portion leading up to the main entrance. We want to shrink that down because we only have one of our buses that usually is in the bus zone in the morning. So we're going to look at shrinking that down and adding more student drop off in the front. Cafeteria, some of you noticed when you came in, we have new furniture up on the second floor. It's beautiful. That will be coming in on, KZ, help me?
8/29.
8/29, which is Tuesday. They're going to be coming in and finishing that. And I want to thank you for approving the disposal of our old cafeteria tables. We are doing St. Joe's.
Yes.
St. Joe's will be taking 10 of those tables for their use. So they will be going to good use. We have 13, so we're going to keep 3 somewhere just in the event we need one. I think 2 are going to a classroom. I think 1 or 2 are going to a classroom. Yeah. Fast forwarding into December, our 12-month employees, we decided for the Christmas holiday that Friday, December 22nd will be their day off. It was either Friday the 22nd or the day after Christmas, and we decided to go with the day before that holiday. Capital project work. So we have Gary Hamlin from Tetra Tech here today and Eric Robert from Schoolhouse. We thank them. I cannot thank them enough. I walk into all of our OACM meetings and I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about today, and Garrett always comes with agenda. So we appreciate him and all of that. Pam, Greg, and John from Tetra Tech were on site today, going through and did a total walkthrough of the building and everything that we have on the preliminary scope to look at. We walked the grounds, looked at all the pavement, we looked at the baseball field, we looked at several classrooms, Steve took them down into the boiler room. So the goal of that today was to add a price list to some of the preliminary scopes that we have on the project. That was today. July 26th was our first OACN meeting. August 15th, I met with Tara Sullivan from BOCES, and we talked about some of the things of whether we are going to, what kind of service we're going to need from her. So I guess in a future discussion item, or even today if you have questions, the way it looks, we get 56% back on what we spend on that service. If we do an a la carte, which would be about $100 over service, it would be $7,400 up front. We're reimbursed at 56% or around $4,100. So this would be a $3,256 expense out of pocket for us. We could do an embedded service, which would be 1 day a week. That would not only include some of our capital project, but we could also use her in more of a marketing for the school. That is a $24,000 expense up front. We're reimbursed at 43% or $10,000. So we would be about $13,884 out of pocket for 1 day. The way our feeling is we're leaving that. I need to contact Tara because we want Tara to be the person who's in that. So if that's the direction we go. So I will give you more information on that, but that's the dollars and cents of that.
Can you just review what would her duties be?
So she would be basically helping us market the school and getting our capital project approved. So for example, tonight's graduation ceremony, we would take pictures, we would send her what's going on, she would write up an article, it would go out to local paper, all of our social media, on our website, things like that. School concerts, graduation, sporting events, things like that. Anything that we felt were like, hey, we need to get that out there about this.
Right, yeah, I got it.
So that's where we would go. We had an OACN meeting on the 16th, which was hopefully to introduce Tara, but she couldn't make it. But Garrett again came up with some great items that we did. And our last one was, I can't remember what day today is. What's the date today? 23rd. So we had one 2 days ago. 21st. The 21st. And we did the walkthrough, as I said. And on the 28th of next week, I'm actually going up to Queensbury to talk with Superintendent Kyle Gannon and his team about marketing and capital project, as they just have gone through one. We created our new staff agenda, which that will take place on the 29th. We also have conferenced on our 2 days of superintendent conference days. We are requesting, so I'm just going to take a minute. So I know in the agenda today.
Can you back up on the capital project quick?
Sure.
There was an email thread that went around about building condition survey. Is that something that we need for this project, or it's not?
Go ahead, Garrett.
So, Tim, the work that our team is doing is essentially the preliminary field work for the building condition survey that will happen next year. So I'm very confident that the field work that we do is going to pick up anything that's of major consequence that might show up in the building condition survey. We can just wrap that information into the capital project.
Okay, great.
Anything else on the capital project?
No.
Okay. All right, so I know that usually the process when we want to add staff is to have it as a discussion item, but as you know in today's agenda,
it's in for a resolution for potential approval. So, what I'm looking for is to add clerk, administrative assistant, or secretary, whichever one you want to delineate those into, for Aaron to have right next to her. So, oh, Eric, if you would, guys can just hang out for maybe 10 minutes.
We're on a rush.
Sorry. So I asked my local colleagues, I put it out to all the superintendents about student numbers, administrative assistants, administrators. You can look at the numbers and study them and ask questions. Well, what I gleaned from it was we have 370 students here at Fort Edward, and we have one principal. Most schools, the average per student per administrator is around 260 to 300. Most of them have an AP, and each of them have an administrative assistant dedicated to them. And what I'm also finding out is there are administrative assistants dedicated to guidance and CSE. So what I have done is we moved Joyce over to Aaron's old office. Leisha is there. She is now the CSE guidance secretary. Toby's up front doing all of the building work that needs to be done throughout the day, such as attendance, letting people in, the Raptor system, students coming in late, students that are coming in early, any kind of late, students who have to leave early, parental calls, main line, things like that. And now I want to add an administrative assistant that directly reports to the principal. And that would be with Erin in her office. If you look at, on the back, oh wait, if you look at, just for example, you look at Bolton, there's 185 students, there is one principal, but they have 2 secretaries in the main office. Right now, for our building, we have 2 secretaries. So, I think it's warranted. I know that when this place was, I would say, humming and doing great, you had 3 secretaries within the building. So, I'd like to get us back to that.
Back with the secretary.
So just to clarify.
There's a difference. So,
I guess I'm not understanding, sorry.
when we were humming, there was a lot more students, there was a lot more activities, there was busing, so it was different.
Well, I
So
think
we
there's,
need 3 secretaries as we are now. Do we need 3 secretaries because we want to move forward in a timely manner?
the latter of what you said. Because I think there's things that we can implement back when we were humming. If that makes sense. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, but I do have a lot of goals that I want to get back to where we were.
Yeah, rough salary estimate for what this position would require.
I think it's in the, is it in the agenda?
No, there wasn't a price point.
So it's-
It just said one.
I can give a rough estimate from the past contract. I do believe it's about 36,000.
That's about what I mean, so.
36, that's what it is,
One clarifying point and then a couple of comments that I have. So I just want to clarify, so now, because we have not had a guidance secretary in quite some time, and I know that Joanna has had to do a lot, at times there were teaching assistants or aides assigned to help her with some things, but so at this point, the special education secretary will be a split between special education and guidance. That's the plan starting in September, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other piece to this that I think, and I'm going to use Mark Besson's terminology from when he was here, and he was saying that we needed to get a full-time superintendent secretary. He's like, I am the highest paid typist in Washington County right now. And I think a lot of times if you don't have an accessible secretary, you're probably doing a lot of things that, you know, are more clerical in nature. The district that I work for is not on the list, and I don't think anybody had replied, but I just did a list quick, and we have a full-time superintendent secretary, and we are, I believe now under 300 students. We have a superintendent secretary, we have a main office secretary, we have a business secretary, a special education secretary, a principal secretary, and a
For 300 students? Is it all in one building like here?
So I will plead at this point, because if we can do it tonight, and I understand the ramifications of rushing things, but that would give us the opportunity to possibly get Aaron with that individual prior to the start of September. So that's my plea in my report.
And I think also, Rich, you and I had chatted a little bit, and I just want to circle back to the one thing that you had said. Typically, when a new position is going to be considered, the typical procedure or process, and not a procedure, a process to follow would be to have it as discussion item at 1 month, and then the next month to go on for approval. But given the time frame of this and the school year starting is why we're kind of, I think, joining it into one, which was something that I wasn't overly comfortable with. However, I am okay with it, given, you know, what the information that you have provided, the information that was provided previously in email with regards to what the secretarial duties are. There's a chart that had been developed and provided with regards to what each secretary was responsible for. I'm glad to hear that there will be some secretarial support for the guidance office as well. I think that is, like each of the pieces that I had in my mind of wanting to be able to cover as a discussion item, I think all of those boxes for me have been checked.
Any other questions? It's obviously on the agenda when we get to it, so any other questions at this point?
At this point, when we get to that.
So without further ado, I know that Eric and Garrett. So part of the capital project is hiring a construction management service. And my goal today was to have him review the contract, but we're still in kind of influx with that with our attorneys and Eric. But so the construction management service, we're at a $12.5 million project. The proposal from Eric is $750,000 for that service. It does sound like a lot, however, and that is the high end because we're still trying to flesh out the timeline. So the reason that I believe we need this service, number one, is Eric Robert him and his company come highly recommended. He's a man of character. His company is absolutely outstanding when it comes to doing the right thing for the organization, which would be us. I have several examples of that, and I have several friends and colleagues that have worked with Eric in Schoolhouse. So, and to be very blunt, I and Steve do not have, Steve has the skills. I don't have the skills. Steve doesn't have the time to try to figure out and juggle a clerk of the works, or try to be the clerk of the works, or go without a construction management service. I can tell you that with the construction management service, I truly believe that companies being held to time on task, companies being held for quality, companies being held for timelines and communication that he will do, and I know has done, will save us money in the end if we do not have him. So that is my plea. You'll be getting the contract very soon. And Eric and Garrett, I guess I would ask if you have any questions, you can point them to him right now. And Eric, if you have anything you'd like to say, I would encourage you.
I might say just a couple of words if I could. Thanks so much for everyone's consideration and for having me here. I think most of you are familiar that we were involved in the prior capital project here at the district. At that time, one thing I wanted to touch on is our services were just a little bit different during that prior project. We were actually hired as clerk of the work services, and that project was quite more modest than what's being considered now. That was in the $5 million range. Now we're in the $12 million range, where that's kind of the transition where all of a sudden, you get above 10 million or so, and you're looking really for full CM services on a project. The big difference that comes to mind for me with the full construction management services is the estimating and the financial management that comes on our shoulders. So we're engaged very early on this project, which I really appreciate, but we're going to be estimating here very shortly once Garrett and his team get done the pre-referendum review, the scope is selected, and we're tasked with coming up with a budget, essentially an estimate that you can feel confident presenting to the public. There's been a lot of cases with the escalation that we've seen lately where school districts have went out, they pitched one thing to the public, and all of a sudden they've had to cut back because they couldn't afford to deliver that. So we're going to make sure that we have a quality estimate here going forward during pre-referendum. Then during the various stages of design, we're going to be doing 3 or 4 different check estimates as Garrett and his team are progressing along that design. And we're going to be making sure that we're staying on track and within budget. Then once the project is live and active, we're going to be doing regular updates, working with Chris, the financial advisors, Garrett and his team, to make sure that that budget is compliant with SED, everything's staying on track, and at the end of the day, the district receives their full state aid. So that's the big difference that comes to mind to me. And I just wanted to point that out if anybody was thinking, geez, we had Schoolhouse as a clerk before, now we're considering them as a full construction manager.
Appreciate that information. Yeah.
Sure.
It's definitely a bigger gig.
Yeah.
Than it was when we went to the clerk. There were other mitigating circumstances like fiscal considerations for going with the clerk back then and the scope of the job and stuff like that. I definitely think a job this size, we need to manage. Absolutely.
So Eric, just a quick question, and
Sure.
I think I probably know the answer, but what is the interaction between your company and the individual contractors, the GC and the subcontractors, project managers, and not only the project manager, but the project foreman who's on site to make sure that the jobs are well coordinated, where we're not stepping on each other's toes, lengthening one portion of the job, affecting every other portion of the job as far as timeline and budget. So the first thing that comes to mind, John, is communication, and the amount of communication that we're going to have with all these parties is it's really unbelievable. But in New York State, under our public bidding and public construction laws, if you will, we're required to follow Wick's Law. So that requires the school district to not hire one general contractor that can hire all the subs, if you will, but the district has to retain an independent general contractor, independent mechanical, plumbing. We may have an asbestos, we could have a roofer, an electrical contractor, and there may be some state contract vendors for furniture and different things. So all those parties are going to come under our umbrella. And there's different forms that we're going to be on site every day, doing the ins and outs of coordinating with them. But early on in the process, it really starts with working with the school district and mapping out what the schedule looks like, what can we accomplish working around your educational operations, and then we establish that schedule that's then given to all those individual parties that are contracted with the district. And then from there on, it's daily, multiple times a day communication with. We'll have a full-time on-site construction manager, we'll have a project manager involved, and then we have other experts that are available to interact as needed. But a lot of coordination, a lot of communication, a lot of holding people to their commitments.
You mentioned the A word.
Yes.
Is there any evidence of any friability with that, where we could get into a position where it would be not cost effective?
When we think about the A word in this light, What we're doing on our end early on, and this is working with Tetra Tech, we're exploring and we're looking for that stuff ahead of time. You know, it's in this building, we know that.
It's old.
And if, you know, if this building is, from our experience, it's not terrible. There's many worse conditions out there. But we're trying to look ahead and say, okay, we have the districts of hero reports where we know asbestos is. You know, but let's go out and walk the scope and look at these areas that maybe there's some areas that aren't on the report, but they're suspicious. And it may be worth some testing during that design stage. The key would be is we want to accomplish and identify as much of that as possible up front, so it's locked into the contractor's bids on a competitive basis. Occasionally, we come across surprises as we open up walls. We all know that, or ceiling areas. You know, we will have contingencies and allowances to deal with that, but we want to try to minimize that as much as possible.
The HVAC systems involved in the containment and the abatement is financially horrendous.
It can be, yep. Depending, you know, some of it's not that bad. You know, if we open up a wall, we come across a couple of pipe fittings, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, that's manageable. We've had some schools over the years that have come across other conditions, like vermiculite, which is that loose insulation that was put in like CMU concrete block, if you will. And that's a difficult one to manage, and that gets costly quick. So it all depends. We haven't seen that in this building, and I'm going to knock on wood. I don't want to jinx us. But we're, you know, I guess the answer, John, is we have our radar up, and we're going to try to identify and address that up front as much as we can.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else for you guys?
Yeah, can we just review why a schoolhouse our number one pick for construction management services? It's just a lot of money to just be saying, hey, they're our favorite, so let's go with them.
Well, I can tell you this, he was here during your last capital project. I have vetted him through at least 4 or 5 other people that I trust implicitly. And I just think that he's the individual and that's the company we need to go with.
So Tim, I'll add, so Tetra Tech has worked in this district for many years. Back in 2001 or 2, I think was my first project here. I've got a long working relationship with Schoolhouse. Don't have any reservations about awarding to them. It is their professional services, so you're not required to do RFPs. I am comfortable seeing the board award to Schoolhouse if that's your choice.
When you've spoken to other people, I think area districts, other local districts, have utilized Schoolhouse?
Sure. To share a little bit of our background, we work with approximately 70 school districts in upstate New York. I am the owner of our firm. In this area, a number of the schools that we work with, Glens Falls is one of our active clients. We're back there for our 3rd project at Glens Falls City Schools. We've been over at Granville, Salem, currently doing a turf field over at Greenwich Schools. Corinth, we're working on their project. And we're also in the final stages of the renovation project over at Hudson Falls. So that's kind of a segment in this area. I feel very fortunate to share that over 2/3 of our business is really on a negotiated basis, being a professional service. We do occasionally, respond to a competitive request and so forth, but we've been placed in a position, again, which I feel fortunate for, where we've built a strong reputation. And typically our clients are coming back to us because they have trust in our services. We've proven our due diligence, our worth, if you will, and we're proud of that.
Well, this last time, absolutely.
It did. Tom, there's always hiccups along the way, as we know, otherwise we wouldn't have a job, but it did. And we abated that, the vast majority of that elementary school in one summer window, And full disclosure, after COVID, I don't know if we could achieve that much work in one summer, but we accomplished a great deal, and that was a very successful project.
Yeah, I lived that one.
You did?
And I gotta tell you, these guys were fabulous. The on-site, I can't think of his name now, he's from Plattsburgh.
Paul Lemoy.
Yeah, Lemoy. Anyway, he was fantastic. I worked well with him. He was right on cue on everything. Because I was like, we had to invade bathrooms while school was in session. And they were doing a lot of embankment, they were doing asbestos removal. There was so much going on before school graduation even hit, that they had a lot of this bathrooms done here. And I can just tell you that working with him and how it worked, because I would see stuff and say, I don't think this is right, and you take a look and boom, next thing you know, we're fixing this. This is being fixed. And the guy would get the guys over there and say, you guys, this isn't right, we're gonna fix this, and they'd get them in there. And all the preliminary stuff, I mean, I witnessed all the cores being taken out all over the elementary school on the floor and saying, what is this? Well, they're checking for asbestos, they're checking the caulk, they're checking all over the place on these cores. This is way before the project took hold, so that was all part of it. And so I see how things work, you know, when they're looking ahead. They don't want any issues. Start doing something and have a problem arise. They're way ahead of time. They're going to be checking a lot of areas. I know that, just to make sure. So fantastic job. I'm glad they were there.
Thanks, Steve, appreciate it.
Any other questions for those guys?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
I guess I got a couple more, I'm sorry.
Go
Oh, those guys are, yeah. But just,
ahead.
Don't forget to stop in when you're up in
Have a good night, take care.
We appreciate you attending our meetings in person as regularly as you have. So many times people Zoom in or do the Google Meets, which is necessary sometimes, but it's nice, I appreciate you being here in person.
Well, we're local, so.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Take care, thank you.
yesterday was the start of the fall sports season, right? No, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, start of fall sports season. We are increasing our capacity with bus drivers. We've had 2 interviews lately. Yeah, we have some hires on the agenda for tonight. So that is good. So we again thank you for all of that. Just coming up, we have a capital project committee meeting at the end of September, September 26th. Board retreat date. I think the plan was to try to get one before the start of the school year. How does this coming Wednesday look?
Is it during the day?
No.
So the third,
30th. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. What time do you think?
I was thinking a normal start time for us, like 6:30.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Ella's back from vacation next week, so I don't speak for her, but actually that, so hopefully that will work.
And so is
For
Taylor, I
her as
believe.
well.
So we'll take it.
Great.
20, okay, thank you. Or 30. I
What
cannot tell Taylor.
What time do you want to go?
Let's
The
go with
6:30, usually.
That's here, correct? Or-
Yep. The annex building is set to be surveyed. Once that happens, we can make another step to get that off of our insurance rolls. New staff orientation is the 29th, which is Tuesday. Steve and his staff will be going to Argyle on Wednesday for training. I don't know when the last time they've had training for B&G staff, so I'm glad that that's occurring. Do you guys want to do and then, start of the year building walkthrough.
Something we've traditionally done, we haven't done the last couple of years, COVID had something to do with that. Typically, we do it, day before school opens, or 2 days before school opens, just walk through.
I think we did it this year, Tim and I went around for a tour at the
Did it?
beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
We did, Craig was showing us around, yeah.
What day works for you guys?
What do you think, Steve?
Well, the school's here, it's not going anywhere.
We need to guide it to
Whenever you wanna
I think
stop by, we'll have meetings closed in the morning first, and then we'll walk it, or what? I mean,
I think the goal is they want to see the building ready for students. I don't think we're quite there yet, so.
We're very, very close.
So what day, when do you think you'd be ready for a walkthrough like that?
Did you say something about the 30th?
Well, they'll all be here the 30th.
Be right.
Yeah, I think we'll be definitely ready to walk around at that point.
Yeah, well, it's
All right.
And to the retreat.
Maybe to, if possible, do that at 6.
Would that be possible?
I can do
The tour at
6.
6.
So we'll go 6 to 6:30 on the walkthrough and then do the retreat?
Yeah.
That's great.
We get t-shirts for this tree. Something like that.
Try.
Maybe a coffee mug.
I am finalizing the New Meadow contract. We are very close. We should be able to get that on the September 11th agenda. And we already talked about schoolhouse, so sorry if my report was a little long, but that's everything.
Good stuff.
One quick question on the SPO. They, I'm assuming, leave it as an open vacancy. They would continue to leave it open. If somebody was interested come December, we would, just like a vacancy within the school district itself.
From what I understand, it is very specific to retirees.
Correct.
So that's kind of been a good thing and a bad thing but they've exhausted the list of retirees. So as soon as somebody retires, then they ask them and see if they're interested.
People retire.
Yeah.
So, might be a little difficult.
Yes.
Can you just review, what were the football numbers again? The athletic committee said that there were 3 JV players. You said there were 0?
Yeah,
So, what happened, they didn't show up?
I don't know, Aaron, can you help me?
Yeah, right now we've got 4 boys for JV and varsity together. So once they select their teams, that'll depend on whether you're JV or varsity.
Okay, all right.
4 boys at that age range.
Thanks.
They haven't selected teams yet.
Yeah.
And that's up on Monday, we only had 2. So now we're up to.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So Summer Academy, Jess Smaka will be giving a full report at the September meeting with a slideshow like she'd want to do. But I want to let you know that I did finish up with a pool party for the K-6 learners and a bowling party for the 7th and 8th grade learners. It was an 11-day program, but we had really high attendance and kids who we had trouble getting through the door during the 180 days of school. Some of them came every single day during the summer on their vacation, and we got some good work done. But I will not steal Jess's thunder for next month. I'll let her give her full report. We did have credit recovery this year. It was Monday through Thursday, July 5th through August 15th, 8:30 to 11:30. We had a coordinator plus a teacher supervising the students at all times. There were always 2 teachers with the students. We had 2 additional teachers aiding, actually the student who graduated, aiding him with his classes to make sure he could get through. We had 19 students participating of the 21 who were recommended. And they took a total of 31 classes among the 19 of them, because some took multiple classes. 24 of those 31 credits were recovered. So next year we're hoping for even more of those credits to be recovered. We did have Regents exams here on the 16th and 17th. I can't tell you the results because I just got them handed to me this afternoon, in the box from Ed Vista who scored them. So I do not yet have, I don't have the result reports yet. Things of note about credit recovery, one student who would not have graduated, who would not be graduating next year will now be eligible to graduate next August. So we will have another August graduate next year for sure, graduating with his cohort, keeping our numbers where they need to be. One student who was not going to be able to go to BOCES next year because he was behind, passed his classes in summer school, will now be eligible to go to BOCES and come up and pursue a trade. Trey graduated tonight, which improved our graduation rate to exactly 80% for our district and 88.8% for the students in our building. They're not the students who are placed otherwise.
Did you say 88?
88.8 for our building and 80 for our district. Yep. So Trey helped our numbers tremendously. And all of the students who passed a class in summer credit recovery are now that much closer to graduating on time. And I will be sending a survey out to the students who participated, the parents whose children participated, and the teachers who were involved to get feedback to hopefully improve it for next year. We are embarking on the Positivity Project, which is known as P2. That is a social emotional learning character education program. It's essentially 15 minutes a day of no prep character ed, and it's pre-K through 12. This is brought to us by our 6 through 12 character ed PLC. So this is a teacher-led initiative. We actually had a meeting Monday, a 4-hour meeting Monday, a 4-hour meeting today, and we're having a 4-hour meeting next week with our core team to make sure our implementation rolls out really smoothly. All staff will be trained on P2 on Superintendent's Conference Day. We have training scheduled for that. We are having 4 PD meetings throughout the year about Positivity Project, and we're having an in-person Positivity Project staff member come here to do a training on either our March or our April Superintendent's Conference Day.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Erin, but could you, and I apologize, but could you give me just a very brief Reader's Digest of what exactly character ed is?
Absolutely, and I'm glad.
In this scope.
Yep, so pre-K through 12, so it's going to be a school-wide initiative. We're all going to be using the same language. So there's a word of the week. So there's a daily lesson, and each lesson focuses on the word of the week. So it might be bravery, it might be integrity, it might be appreciation. And there are daily lessons that talk about that. The reason they say it's no prep, because literally the teachers pull up the platform, there's a short video, and then there are 3 slides afterwards with discussion points, questions, and then that message gets carried on throughout the day, and everybody's kind of on the same page. So we're really building not just scholars, but good human beings.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to do a lot for our students and get them to come to school more often, have them be here, be engaged, and be involved. Now let's get down to fall sports. I wanted to send out a huge thanks to Jody Boucher, who came along with another nurse from Hudson Falls to help clear our athletes. They were a couple of machines in there, clearing all of our athletes who had provided their paperwork. It was kind of amazing to watch. Varsity and JV sports started on Monday. Modified has the okay to start next Monday. We have 4 boys doing JV or varsity football. 11 boys signed up for modified football. 20 athletes signed up for JV and varsity volleyball. So those teams still have to shake out. Tryouts were going on this week. We have 11 girls signed up for modified volleyball. 10 signed up for golf, plus Argyle's contribution, which the last I heard was at least 4 kids. I think it might even be more. And we have 4 modified kids signed up to do soccer with Argyle. And the transportation runs have all been ironed out between Joyce and Kathy and Caitlin and I, and so we've got the next few weeks, all the transportation runs are done. Rich already talked about our new staff. Our school counselors are meeting with our new registrants to show them around, get them comfortable, and establish a relationship with the parents of all of our new students. Between now and the first day of school, they've all been offered appointments to come in and take a tour and get that personal connection. And my last little bit of information is open house is Thursday, September 28th. We are having the Council for Prevention, Washington County Public Health, and the PTO all tabling in the lobby to give information to students and parents. And I put out to our class advisors to see if anybody wants to do like a chicken barbecue, some kind of fundraising event that would also bring people to open house.
No, an open house we had a couple years ago, that's pre-COVID. We had the clubs recruiting at the open house on the top of the cafeteria, so test club, and the little board set up to try to get people to sign up to join the clubs and maybe something.
Yeah, like a little club there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I like that idea. I'm gonna add it to my open house vision board right now.
We're gonna have book fair running during open house. Book fair is gonna be running during
Oh,
open
book
house.
fair too.
So that's usually a big draw for parents. Everybody loves book fair, it's so funny. Aren't you back to your childhood?
Yeah, back when it wouldn't work.
If you want to volunteer to run it, go for it, please.
One last thing, maybe you can piggyback on it. This year, we do have an after-school program for all Fort Edward children who would be eligible or who need after-school care from 3 to 5 to 6, I think.
Wow, that's
I saw the advertising, they were kind of promoting on social media.
So Healthy Kids, and all of the information for that is on our website.
Thank you. All right, next up.
So to piggyback on social media, which is great for us, Special Olympics this year, last year was all like 7th through 12th grade. Well, this year the county has opened it up for 2-year-old to 7-year-olds for Special Olympics, and the whole advertisement went out. They're gonna have a big event on October 20th. It's open to non-disabled and disabled children to help them experience that situation. Nonverbal kids, really impaired kids are gonna have it's just a huge event celebrating them, which is gonna be wonderful. I just saw a fundraiser from the sheriffs. They were collecting monies to go towards that event, which is great. So we put it out there for anybody who's interested, and hopefully we'll get some kids at the little level to start experiencing that.
Where is that being held?
I want to say it's being held in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can show that link if you want, so you can have it.
Yeah.
So that's so great. Our new class for Miss Cleveland is up and like looking beautiful. We painted it, came in our painting clothes, got it all pretty and academically ready, and we got all them coming in and setting them up, and kids are visiting and seeing their new home, and they're thrilled. They're so excited to know that they're in a good place and they have a happy teacher and a happy environment. So can't wait to have that. We have a total of 5 kids coming here from other districts, Argyle and Hartford. We had a few more applicants, we just weren't ready for them yet. But in time, we're gonna build things and grow from there. Our life skills program at the high school, we really want to grow that and promote it. There's another one in the county that just opened up, who's growing and promoting. We want to do the same thing. So I reached out to Robin, and she and I are going to meet and talk about whether maybe we do some collaboration. They can meet up together and do some sharing back and forth the visits, because they're all the same functioning level, same needs. So maybe we can do something, celebratory together. Chris and I are going to help Aaron. We, fell into another grant opportunity today that just showed up in our queue, which is a proposal for, it's called the Stronger Connections Grant. Specifically for minimum requirement, 40% of your students must be free or reduced lunch. I don't think we're going to have a problem hitting that. And at least 10% of students with attendance problems. I think we got that too. So I'm applying for that by the 15th. If we get it, it's as much as up to $600,000. So I'll take anything I can get. But, we're proposing to support the Positivity Project, because it's not just the project, there's so many more materials and things that go with it. The PD behind it, the substitute coverage behind it, all of that, so they have support, as well as, hopefully we can add more time to the psychologist position, and that psychologist could then be part of that. It's all about a healthy and well environment, prevent bullying, harassment, gender differences, things like that. This grant focuses on that. So they're saying the minimal return is like $67. So So even that's huge. So we're taking advantage of that, so it's, we have free money, it's opportunity, so you definitely wanna do that. Other than that, we're working on opening the school, getting back, getting the IEP stuff, mailing it all out. Got 2 new drivers, we're thrilled about that. We're gonna finally let the guys retire a little bit. Now they don't want to. But, maybe it takes a little weight off of them, so it's not every single day. So that's gonna be a nicer setup this year. We're way ahead of the game, which is better than last year.
And, I commend Joyce for all her work in transportation, because one of the secondary goals is to get Mr. Muron off of the bus and be a true sub. Right now, he has still been on the bus quite a bit, because we've had to have a lot of fill-ins, which again takes away from the skill set of maintaining our building and leading his staff. So, so Joyce, again, thank you, nice job. And hopefully we can get to where we need to be and reach some of those goals for the next school year as well.
All positive stuff, starting finance all the way down, man. Good stuff, great stuff. Very happy to hear this stuff.
Thank you.
Nero, you're up next, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been a very, very long summer. But it's kind of, we've hit a lot of good things within the school. One of my main things is I've been trying to get with the guys, and the main thing is training, and I'm trying to put across different skills, different training. I try to get involved in a lot of things, and a lot of times I find myself, doing stuff, but when I'm doing it, they also say, oh, geez, I get always, geez, I didn't know that, and I say, yeah, this is good. So they're picking up little things that I can offer them to say, if you do this, this is what happens. And so I've been trying to work with the guys, and I mean, I'm ecstatic the way the school looks at this point and how much work they've done, how much moving that we've done. Right, Rich?
Yes.
Table, we had to move from up there back down, because you like that table better. That was always a good one for the guys. But, yeah.
Well, I will say that I did move it back down to my office.
He helped. But, no, on a serious note though, with everything that the guys have done and the way the school has come along, the guys have been surprised. Me and Paul, we talked over, and right now we're in the midst of trying to get set areas that we can take the school, take a map of the school, and make this area A, area B, area C, area D. Guess what? D ain't here tonight, so he called off, so you're gonna have to pick up part of D, and this guy over here is gonna have to pick up part of D. So everybody knows what needs to happen. And with me, what I've been doing, and at 1 o'clock when everybody shows, number one, it brings everybody on time to my office so I can have a chat. And it also lets me point out different things that I found from the night before that wasn't exactly right, we need to fix. And it also gives me a chance to communicate with them that, don't forget, you got this at 5 o'clock, you got to set that up for 5 so that everybody's on cue, that they know at 5 o'clock they all got to meet in the gym in different areas, depends on what's going on. And it brings everybody closer together. And I'm trying to get a lot of communication going between the guys. I says, what has happened before is I thought you got it. No, you didn't know. And then ends up in the next day I'm hearing it. Nobody got in my room, Well, so little things like that. But we're trying to make the teachers happy and get the school clean and get everybody working together for the same goal. It worked out fabulous. It was a very bad job. The annex in the garage was one of the worst things I had to do. We all had respirators on and white suits and to snow shovels and things to get all this stuff shoveled out of the basement. And into dumpsters and things like that, but, it went really well. We moved a lot of stuff that I didn't know if we were gonna have room for. There was a lot of stuff that we had to make room and sort out. I'm gonna be presenting the board with, some things of articles that I think we ought to discard and maybe see what we can get for it. There's a lot of old John Deere stuff that's taken up shelf space over there that we haven't used in years. Old snow blower off the John Deere and different things like that that's just sitting there, taking up space. Maybe we could liquidate it, see what we could get for it and get some money out of it and free up some space, because space right now, storage is a very high commodity.
Auction?
Yeah, auction it, whatever we.
I'll get you a name.
Right, because I'd like to kind of, right now it's being stored outside because I had to bring a lot of things that is valuable that was in the annex, had to be in place for. So they took a back seat when it ended up being outside, so. But, that project's done. They're coming to pick up containers, and, Cohen will come, we'll get the money off the steel, off the Cohen. They're coming Waste Management. I'm hoping that the steel outweighs what it's costing us to get rid of, so we'll, hopefully the cash flow will come right, so it didn't cost us anything to get rid of this stuff. It's what my goal is, and there's a lot of steel over there, so. With that being done, the boiler project, been heavily in that, worked on it. We've been working, the boilers got fired, all programmed, Tetra Tech, or not Tetra, but Stark Tech was in, got the IP between the boilers and everything so they can communicate. So that's in progress. They started it, it isn't finished yet. They gotta wait for winter to get here to actually let things happen. But they were in, they've opened up all the valves in the school, because I had EML in, and I've been monitoring right now, we're flushing the system and getting rid of, when we're purging all these unit vents, the elementary wing is done, high school wing has to be done. When we're purging, the stuff is coming out like mud. All the water and stuff in these things is like mud coming out. So we're purging and purging until we get clear. And so every uni vent in the whole school has got to have it. Because that's why my valves, and we're getting so much different discrepancies in the building, because the valves aren't closed or aren't open. So I'm cold. I can't. I'm adjusted it on the computer, but nothing's happened. Go down there, free up the valve, and it starts working properly. Well, it's all that stuff with water. So B&L put a new tank in, put the chemicals in. I ran it for 5 or 6 days, and then I started the flushing process. We're putting in fresh water and taking out, and then the next operation, part of that will be coming in once I get everything flushed, put in the rust inhibitor into it, and then we're set. My goal this week is I have to get underneath the school, because I'm kind of really nervous about this part of it, because I gotta start at one end, go the whole length of school, and look for leaks. It's like I explained don't worry about that. That's just a little critter over there.
Make sure somebody knows when you're going.
Yeah. But anyway, I got to go underneath there, and I did show Rich a picture that I could readily get at. He was like, oh my God. There's actually just a band around it that they've tightened onto it to stop it from leaking. So it's like in the earlier meeting when Tetra Tech was there, I said, we got a beautiful heart, but my arteries suck. And the arteries throughout the school I'm really nervous about. And doing the cleaning operations and loosen things up.
It's gonna loosen that deposit up in it.
Yeah, could happen, so I'm kind of nervous about it. I was just down in the basement before I came here. My pressures are holding good. that's a plus. I don't wanna see it drop, because that means we're gonna crush it all. So, you know, but that's what I've been doing and what I've got to work on. And I really, really love to see the boilers in operation, and I really love if I can get everything working so that the whole school is better maintained heating wise. You know, I don't wanna have a bunch of people, I'm so hot, it's 80 degrees in here, and I'm so cold, there's no one. So that's my goal, so. Other than that, the school, everybody has said, all the guys have said that we have done more this year than any other year. We're better on track. So now we can keep pushing forward and getting other stuff done. So that's what I got yet. But like Rick said, it's very hard for me if I got something I need to do and I can't do it because I'm on a bus. I gotta take the kids someplace or something. And I'm just like Rich says, you're not checking your emails, and I'm like, well, it's kind of hard on a bus. So I need this. I'm not a computer guy. I'm a hands-on guy, and I like to move and I like to get stuff done. But I do know that part of my job is answering emails and making sure people are getting answers back. So, and I've been getting better at it. So I do have a calendar now, and I do know when I have a meeting. I may be a little late, but I do know I have. So,
We're almost like 21st century.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing, and that's kind of an overall picture of the scope of what's going on.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes. Thank you. And your team looks fantastic with the shirts. I love when I just happen to drive down K Street to head to my mother-in-law's house and I'll see somebody heading out the door or something. Everybody just looks very sharp.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very nice.
Very professional.
Thank you.
Good stuff all around. Awesome. All right, next up, discussion items, October board meeting.
Yes, I think we had it scheduled for actually on Columbus Day. So, right, is that correct?
I think you're right.
Yes,
So
that's
we
where
were
the
just-
Monday fell and I didn't recognize it. I got so hung up on the September 11th date that I wanted somehow to be a day that we shouldn't have a board meeting, that I missed the October one being an actual holiday. So, I mean, if you guys are okay with moving it to just the next day to Tuesday the 10th, but it's up to you, whatever works for you guys.
So we're talking about the 10th or the 16th?
You were looking at the 10th, right?
Yes.
10th?
Yep, Tuesday, 10th.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Good to go.
Cool. And then, Ms. Durkee's resignation. It's a tough one. Too much speech at the end of the so yes, we have big shoes to fill. Not so big.
Yeah.
Flip-flops. But we do have to come up with a method of again, going out to the public like we did for Christina's, or there's always the option of doing an election. Just archival information, elections outside of normal elections can be expensive. Last time we looked for interested parties, we had one person step up, not only you, but the previous time we had gone out to the public, we had one person that stepped up to do it. So those are our two options. Just one word of caution, and again, this is archival information, but as we have resignations from the board and have to replace board members, the typical process is 25 signatures, and then the public votes on it. people have come onto the board, like Audrey and previous folks, through appointment by the board. If we go the same way to replace Amanda's seat, that will be 2 folks on the board that were appointed by the board and not appointed by the public. If that's a concern for anyone, then we need to go out to an election. If it's not a concern for everyone, we will do the same thing we did the last time, put it out to anybody interested, give them a period of time to, sign up, and then if there's more than one person that does, then the board interviews them, and if not, we perform. There's,
And it's, for both of them, it's the only until the next vote.
correct, until then. Yeah, so what's
It
like.
doesn't, it's not that the
section
person that gets appointed now fills the remainder of
Nope.
the time.
It's just the remainder.
Until the next election.
You have 90 days to fill it, I guess it's 90 days, right? It's 90 days to fill it, obviously we want to fill it quickly since we're at 6:45 now, and we just barely made a quorum this evening. So we want to go fill it as soon as possible.
I feel that we should do it the same way that we did it the last 2 times. I think it's financially better, and I think it's better to have somebody that just wants to step up.
Tim, you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
So I think we start the process again, and Audrey, I imagine, since you're part of that, you'd be
My first day.
interested in
We have a quality, notice of vacancy now that we had, that we really tweaked and put together for this last one, for the posting and things, so.
Just.
So how soon can we get that?
Exactly.
How soon can we get that going?
I can probably actually have that put out tomorrow, because we already have a pretty good template. I can make those adjustments pretty readily, and then get it posted on our site like we did before.
Okay. Due to the lateness of this meeting, we've only got a little over 2 weeks before our next meeting, correct? So it may not be in time for the September meeting, but we can always do it for October. So, yeah, let's give them, it was 2 weeks last time? Yeah, so as soon as you can publish, let's give it 2 weeks. If it is in time for the meeting, great. I don't know that it will be in time for the meeting, but we'll just go for that.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you.
I would like to just go on record to state that the resignation is all for personal reasons. I think that the optics can look not so great as far as Christina had just resigned and now I'm resigning. I think that the optics can look like, what's happening at the board, that everybody's resigning. I want to make it very clear that I enjoy this work. I have learned a lot, and I like doing it. I'd love to see this capital project through, but something in my world needs to give, and other things, unfortunately, are not negotiable at this time. And so this is the thing, but I will still be an involved community member. Anybody who's been here knows that I play that role quite well also.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a diligent community member also, and I'm here for anything that the district needs at any time, and it is a resignation with regret, but it has nothing to do with the district, the board, the position, and everything to do with person.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We talk, and I see your letter, and I'll say my screen now. You've been an amazing board member. I mean, when you kind of came onto this board, we were in a pretty chaotic state. We had a lot of different things going on, and you jumped right in with your folder and your notepad and your items. And
The other notepad.
I've depended on you a tremendous amount for that information that you stored, and you've just been a tremendous addition to the board, and very, very sorry to see you go, but I understand.
It's been fun.
Certainly.
All right. Next up, okay.
Can I just make 2 notes before we move forward? Can I just make a note before we move forward? So I left on the table for each of you 2 new documents, and I just wanted to clarify before we got into those pieces of the agenda. So one of them is an updated draft of the July 10th meeting minutes. There were 2 changes that I made at suggestion. I appreciate Tim's feedback and thoughts on those. So I expanded on one of the discussion items from page 2 just to explain what that topic was about, and then made a clarifying statement on the SPO discussion. So that is one of the documents, and then the second document that you have is an additional revenue contract for the BOCES classroom that is for the distance learning. I had left that piece out because I thought it was sent to us in Jess. I did not realize that there were 2 contracts coming from BOCES, so I thought one of them was wrong. I left it out, but that is an additional small revenue contract. So if it's possible to approve both of them at that time, if we do approve the BOCES one, I would love to approve both of them so that we can get that out of the way and approved. And if not, I can always add it to the next agenda.
So this one will be some classes. This is one. Okay, so we're gonna add P to the action items, and it's going to read very similar to J, except it's going to say, and instead for leasing the classroom, it's gonna say for distance learning.
Okay.
That make sense? And regarding action item A, so we are voting on the amended minutes, so that's clear. Okay. So, I need a motion for consent agenda A through E. John?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're good. I gotta do these separate. I need a motion to adopt the district-wide safety plan that was posted on the school website for the required 30-day comment period. John? Amanda? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the 2023-2024 high school code of conduct as presented in the board packets. Need a motion. Amanda, Tim, any discussion?
Can we open that for changes this year? I know I'm perfectly fine adopting it for the school year, but can we refer that to policy committee, or just reading through what I had, questions, comments, ideas?
We had an internal teacher review. We had a committee, we met about 5 times to go through it and make any changes. There were very few changes that we made. We also did put it out for student council and class officers to be part of the changes, and unfortunately none of them came to any meetings to make any changes. But I'm not sure what the board has to do to change anything, but with our internally, this is what the teachers who were on the committee, the changes that they wanted to make.
I would think it's best to, if you have feedback or thoughts or questions, things to be considered, then that should go directly to Erin, who oversees these documents. These aren't coming out of the board policy committee, they're part of what's getting drafted through the principal's office.
So would the board typically have any input on these, or not?
You can have input as far as we don't develop them.
The same would be during the comment period, the posting period, then, if you have consent right now, we're discussing, we can look at it and discuss it as well. And we're posting it now, but there's some, obviously, it's a fluid document.
Not this time. I'll forward my comments there. That way.
I did want to say also, Erin, that the new formatting and it just looks much more neat and tidy. I remember at the beginning of the year last year, one thing that I had said that I was hopeful that moving forward it would just be cleaned up a little bit with regards to fonts and various things. And the document itself visually looks
I'm gonna pass that back right down to Katie.
Thank you.
Digitizing and formatting queen right
Yes,
there.
I converted that from a PDF to a Word document to a Google document, so it is now able to be manipulated and adjusted moving forward, and is a little more visually appealing to be able to read.
To be working with, yes, very nice.
And much easier to like make adjustments to.
It's more better.
So, we're good with B, right?
Did we do an all in favor?
All in favor of B?
Aye.
We're all good, okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the 2023 elementary code of conduct as presented in the board member packets.
Motion.
Tim? Amanda? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I need a motion to approve the 2023-2024 athletic code of conduct as presented in the board packets. John?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion?
The only thing that I would say for future, if possible, it says the athletic and extracurricular handbook. It's very heavy on the athletic, which I do know that's a big piece of it. But there really isn't much at all with regards to the extracurricular piece. So just something possibly as moving forward, if that even becomes its own, small section, or it could, I don't know what the actual formal eligibility policy looks like, maybe it's more wrapped into there, but if somebody's ineligible, then can they still participate in chorus concerts and all of those pieces? So, this is very athletic heavy. So if it's just going to be athletic, I would just call it athletic handbook, or somehow try to beef up the extracurricular piece, just for something in the future.
I agree, I would like to add in, stress that it also applies to drama, to our gaming club, to, anything outside of the 8 to 2:30 school day.
Yep.
And prom.
Proms,
Special
exactly.
events.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Thank you for that feedback.
Aye.
Okay, so I need a motion for E through J. Amanda, any discussion on any of those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion for resolution that the Board of Education hereby creates the following position effective August 21, 2023. Amanda,
Second.
Tim, discussion, please.
Is this the one?
Yes,
for Aaron?
this is.
So her, she, he, whoever, this will be their actual title.
Yep,
This is not a civil service job.
it is a civil service.
Is it?
Yep.
That was my only question.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. So is all. There you go. All right, need a motion. The Board of Education hereby approves this one-year appointment of Jessica Smock as teacher on special assignment, subject to the terms as outlined in the agreement dated August 21, 2023. Need a motion? John?
Second.
Tim? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good on that. Jessica. All right. Need a motion to approve the addendum for superintendent of schools dated August 23rd, 2023. John? Amanda? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And once again, great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Need a motion to approve the addendum for secretary to superintendent of school dated July 10, 2023.
Motion.
Tim, Amanda, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great job. Go. Need a motion to approve the addendum for the district clerk dated July 10, 2023. John?
Second.
Tim, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We appreciate it, Casey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay.
I know, just only sometimes.
And item P, I need a motion to approve the contract with Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex County Board of Department of Educational Services for the distance learning. John? Amanda, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Personnel all appointments subject to change, compensation, probation, pay, emergency school closings, and required reductions in force. All coaching appointments are made pending completion verification of all required coaching credentials. Stipend for FFPA contract commensurate with experience and no other salary or benefits. All coaching extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction in compensation, probation, pending final student enrollment numbers, and pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closings. I need a motion for A. I need to appoint Richard Malley as deputy purchase agent effective July 1, 2023. Josh? Audrey? All in favor?
Right.
I need a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Kelly Riccardelli as teaching assistant effective July 20, 2023. Amanda? John? All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Wow. Accept the letter of resignation from Mary Ellen Godfrey as teacher assistant effective August 8, 2023.
Motion.
Tim and Amanda? Any discussion?
Too bad, 19 years.
Yeah, wow.
She's been amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for your long service and excellent service. All in favor?
Aye.
Letter of resignation for Christine Beach as cafeteria aide effective July 27, 2023. Tim and Amanda, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Second letter of resignation of Megan Widrick, school psychologist, effective August 18, 2020. Amanda, John, all in favor?
Aye.
Letter of resignation from Chrissy Delk as aide, effective August 18, 2023. Tim? John, all in favor?
Aye.
Appoint Paul Aiken as lead cleaner, effective August 21st, 2023, the stipend rate of $3,500 per the FVSS contract. Amanda, John, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Congrats, Paul. Yeah. I'm gonna ask for a motion for H through M. Motion, John, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I need a motion to appoint Kimberly Rivers, 1.0 Spanish teacher effective September 1st, 2023 for an indefinite time period, a rate of $61,733, step 13 per the FPTA contract. This is still seeking full-time tenure track candidate for this position. This appointment shall be contingent upon hiring process. New candidate be found, selected, ample notice will be given to Ms. Rivers in order to provide a smooth transition. John, Amanda, any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
O. Need a motion for O through R.
Motion.
Tim? I'm gonna go slow. Okay,
Yeah,
I could be
go slow.
You wanna go to each one? Okay. I need a motion. I need a
I'll second that.
I'm sorry.
second.
No, you're
Jumped the
right.
gun.
So we got two motions, so I'm gonna go through each individual one. Motion on the table for all these, I'll go through each individual. So O, any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just curious, why there was resignation and then the.
Teaching.
She resigned her TA position because she now is a certified teacher.
Okay. That's good, yeah, now I understand.
A little slow.
It's okay. I missed one by one, I didn't mean slow, sir.
Joyce?
I just said one by one, that's exactly right. So then P, any discussion on P? No? Any discussion on Q?
Thank you for the work that they did.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing you all, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, that was awesome. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Coaching, appoint Jason Graham, varsity football coach, effective August 21, a stipend rate of $4,383, scale A, year 1, per the MBTA contract.
Motion.
Tim? Amanda, any discussion?
Absolutely. And what would be the duties?
Sorry?
What would be the duties of this position?
He'll be assistant coach to the head coach there, most likely, yes.
What's his qualification?
He has his coaching cert, first aid.
What's the real qualifications? You ever been a football coach?
He has not.
Alright. Why? Why do we need a varsity football coach? An assistant varsity football coach for basically one kid on varsity.
Well, right now we have 4 going over.
Okay, well,
And, you know, it's more of a representative position for Fort Edward to advocate for those children and obviously to make sure, for example, that head coach will not know what the grades, the attendance, the discipline of our kids are, and hopefully communicate that with that other coach to make sure that they are following all of our athletic codes and being able to practice and eligible and things like that.
And it is part of, it's the way that the merged sports programs run, is that there are coaches from both districts at each level, regardless of the number that are.
Yeah.
We're building a merged program.
Didn't we just have this discussion like last winter though, with programs, with basketball, was that students dropped out, so there's no longer a team?
Correct, those coaches should not have been there.
I mean, there's kids on the team. I mean, obviously.
So we had the varsity coach and the JV coach at the girls' basketball level. We didn't run a varsity, so we shouldn't have had a varsity coach there, contingent upon what we had. That was last year. That was the issue last year.
And correct me, right now, we don't even, I think I'm correct in this, we don't even have anybody that has, signed up for JV football. But there may not be any
JV coach.
There may not be any JV players, also we don't know.
Correct, we don't know where they're gonna fall.
Where everybody's falling and what's happening, but,
And has there been any discussion with Hudson Falls athletic director or head coach about this position? Like, are they gonna use this person? Like, do they want them? I just don't understand, like, injecting one of our staff into their operation. It just seems kind of odd.
Well, I can tell you as a former football coach, the more hands and eyes you have, regardless of the skill set, is always great.
True, the skill set is important.
It is important. I'm not gonna, and, you know, I'm gonna just bluntly say what Amanda said. I think we're obligated to send somebody over if we have an applicant. If we didn't have an applicant, then no, we wouldn't be able to send anyone. But we have an applicant. That's the discussion. That's all, that's the only thing I want.
it's a merged
That's
program,
not one.
yes.
That's the bottom line.
We're obligated to send somebody, we got one applicant, so we're sending.
Do we want to table this for
Put it
example?
right out on the table.
There you go. That's the table.
You want to table this for example?
Oh, no, I don't. No, I mean, because, you know, if we really have that obligation, which I firmly think we should, then we need to send it.
There you go. 100%.
So, all in favor?
Right?
Awesome. Casey, any comments?
Still on.
All right. With that being said, I need a motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters referring to negotiations with a specific entity, as well as the employment of specific individuals. So, John.
Second.
Tim. Board of Education members and other individuals invited to executive session are reminded that all matters discussed in executive session must be kept in the strictest confidence. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, bud, so we'll cut the